Are you tired of the rainbows and butterflies approach in multifamily investing, where everything unfolds seamlessly and everybody wins? You never see behind-the-scenes reality. If you resonate with our perspective, acknowledging that true insights emerge from navigating mistakes and challenges, then you're in the right place. Join Christy Keaton, your host, as she dives into the missteps and lessons learned encountered by active apartment operators. In these episodes, we embark on a journey to dissect and analyze the pitfalls within the multifamily project lifecycle, focusing on the crucial stages of finding, funding, fixing, or flipping a project. Instead of glossing over setbacks, we shine a spotlight on them, providing a valuable learning experience for our audience. Each episode concludes not only by revealing how the issue at hand was rectified, but also by sharing other priceless lessons derived from the experience. It's an unfiltered exploration of the multifamily investment landscape, revealing the intricate tapestry of challenges and solutions that make the journey worthwhile.
Hello, family, and welcome back to another episode of Multifamily Missteps. My name is Christy Keaton, your host, and I have the pleasure of Mr. Ray Glymph coming here to join us to add value to you. And I am looking so forward to this because I've been following just this gentleman for a while, and we were just talking, and he's like, "You need to hit the record button." So I've been watching him and listening to some of his videos, and let me tell you guys, this guy goes a little bit deeper than most people on videos. He doesn't just hit the surface. He goes, nah, this is good, this is not good, and this is what you need to look for, this is what you need to avoid. So I am super excited that you are here, Ray. Thank you so much for agreeing to come and add value.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. So let's start off a little bit about where you got started, how you got started, and why real estate in general, and then let's go into a little bit of the multifamily part of it.
So I'll start you with real estate and how I got started. It was an accident. I think a lot of people get involved in real estate by accident. And I was one of those accidental. I was in a room. I heard some guys talking. They were all making more money than me. So I said, they must know something.
Right.
And so they started throwing out terms. You could buy this, refinance this, renovate it, and then we can keep using it. And then before you'll have $1 million worth of real estate. And at that point, that was my first time about like really hearing a real estate investing. And at that point, I knew like, maybe this is something I should do. And I still recall, I went home that night. I did my research for a week, just started listening to different sources, reading different books, then all the research I could. And next like week or two, I got back with those same guys and I said, hey, who's ready to do this? And everybody backed out.
No way.
Everybody backed out. And
Oh my
everybody said,
God.
no, we're not going to do this. It's not a good idea. Too many people involved. And at that point, I was already committed.
Yeah.
And I'd say, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And I bought a property on Craigslist. If you guys don't know, it's a very sketchy place. But I actually found a property on Craigslist for, I think my first one was $25,000. And I got lucky. The guy was the real deal. He sold me the real property. And it was a nightmare, but I shared a story because people need to hear the good and bad of real estate.
Yeah. So what year was that? That's what I want to first, if you can tell us the year, because Craigslist wasn't always sketchy. It turned into the sketchy. So if you can just tell us a little bit, like, when did that happen?
I want to say this was about 2000 and maybe 2017.
Okay, it was already sketchy by then. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. I probably should have, in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have bought it, but it was already too late. And it was a great learning experience. And that's what the beauty of real estate. This is a lot to learn all times.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. So tell us a little bit about that deal. 2016, you decided to jump in. It sounds like head first, not feet first.
Yeah.
Head first.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about that deal and how it went for you.
So I bought a deal. Like I said, it was $25,000. It was in the wrong neighborhood, right? So that's one of the basics. It was in the wrong neighborhood. I bought out of state. That was another thing. I bought out of state. I bought in the wrong neighborhood. I did a little research on it. I looked at the comps in the area. 3 streets down, the properties were going for $200,000. So I say, if I buy this $25,000, I might be able to put 25 into it, and it could sell for $200,000. But turns out, if you cross the bridge, people don't want to live across the bridge, and that was a learning lesson for me. But in all, we got to renovate it. I traveled every day. I did the renovation. Me and my significant other, we did the renovation together. And once it was done, I still remember that feeling when the tenant gave me that first check.
Oh,
Right. And that was like the wow moment of like, wow, well, we did it. And I don't have to cook anything. I don't have to clean anything. This person just paid me a decent amount. Now, I could tell you guys the numbers because it was $1,000. I put 25,000 renovation. I'm 50,000 in. $1,000 a month is what I was getting. That's the 2% rule. And if you're doing real
Yeah.
estate, the 1% rule is what everybody's looking for right now.
Yep.
You can't
Yep.
even
For
find
sure.
1%. And I got 2% on my first deal. And I at that point I was all in.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Oh, that's so good. That was so good. Now, during that renovation specifically, was there anything, any kind of mistakes that you made? Obviously, it was the first deal
Yeah.
done, but
Yeah.
not everybody makes mistakes on their first deal, right?
Yeah, no, I think some people hit it off. Some people have done enough research. They've done enough due diligence. For me, I was, like I said, I was head first. And I think the biggest mistake I tell people is that I overdeveloped it. I built that house and renovated that house as if I was going to live in it.
Ooh,
Right. I put the
that's
nicest
different.
laminate floors, LVP floors, and I redid the bathroom as with my touch. And
Come on.
turns out that wasn't really necessary, especially the neighborhood that it was in. It was a D-class neighborhood. I could have got away with carpet. I could have got away with the minimum. And I looked at when I eventually sold that house, it's for sale now. And I look at the renovation they did, and it was like, man, they just really did the minimum to get it by.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of us, starting out, I did the same thing with my first renovation. Well, this is what I would want if I'm living,
Mhm.
right? And a lot of people do that with their first renovation properties like that. And that is a mistake that people make because you're putting more money into a renovation and you're not going to be living there. You need to think about what a renter would actually be okay with. And I say be okay with and not necessarily want, because of course you put everything in there that you want. So yeah, of course they're going to want that, right? So from there, you said it's the person now that owns it. Were they the buyer from you?
No, so well, the person I owns it now, yeah, I actually sold it on the market.
Okay.
I exited that market. I sold it, and I'll tell you guys, I sold it. I didn't know any better. I should have refinanced it. I owned the thing cash at that point. I should have refinanced it, but I sold it, and I sold it for about the 50 or 60,000 that I had into it. I just wanted my liquidity back,
Okay.
just so I ended up buying another property. So it worked out for me now. But
Yeah.
I think 3 years or 4 years later, I saw it for sale for like 160,000. So about three times the value is what I lost out on by not
Ugh,
holding. So let that be another lesson for the listeners is
yeah.
long term hold. That's where the value is.
It really is. It really is. I agree with you, Ray, on that. Okay. So now that you've gone through some of that, when did you start getting into your multifamily, and what was the reason why that? And I realize that I believe that you still do some single family, but your focus really is multifamily at this point. Is that correct?
Yeah, multifamily mixed use.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So tell us a little bit about how you got into that from single family over to multifamily, and why did you do that?
Well, so the second deal I bought was pretty much the same numbers, and I was making $1,000 a month. And at that point, I thought, man, if I could just scale this and I can get to that five, six, $7,000 a month, I could really be free. I could quit what I was doing and focus just mainly on real estate. And so, at that pace, it was like, okay, I have to buy four or five more houses, or I could buy one building or one asset that could get me there. And at that time, I had owned a small bar and a small restaurant, and in that building went up for sale. And so the landlord had offered to sell it to me. And it's crazy story. He offered me seller finance, and as soon as we shook hands on it, he passed away. All right. We
Wow.
had nothing in writing. It went back to the family. The family said, no, we're not doing seller finance. Eventually, I got them to agree to seller finance, one of the cousins or the brothers, and we did seller finance, shook hands. Big snowstorm comes in. He decides to shovel his driveway. He passes away. And
No
at that
way.
point, yeah, I can't make this up. At that point, I was like, this building isn't meant for me.
Bad juju.
Yeah. And so it goes back to the family, went to the family. And this is proof, guys. Real estate doesn't go as planned, right? It,
Rarely.
it went to the family and they didn't want to sell again. A tenant on the top floor, this is a 5-story building. A tenant on the top floor one night at 4 a.m. decides to take a hammer to his toilet, floods the whole building. The whole building is condemned,
Um,
right? The family decides to sell. At that point, I'm able to purchase the building for a fraction of what the appraised value was. And that is how I got into multifamily.
wow. Flooded building from a toilet. Apparently was a disgruntled tenant
Yeah.
on the top
Mhm.
floor. Wow. Wow. Okay, so with that building,
Hmm.
okay, you started multifamily with that particular building. Now you've got a flooded building. What happens?
So this is in real estate, the way to make money in real estate is to add value, right? Force value, right? It's very easy. A lot of people who are just getting started, they want to buy something that's turnkey. And you can do that and you can make money like that. But the real money is made in adding value. So I'll give you guys the numbers too. I don't mind. If you don't care, I'll share the
Oh,
numbers.
I don't mind at all. We love
Good.
that. That this is
Good. So I,
transparency, and transparency is where people learn and actually get the value. So yeah, go for it.
so I think I bought this building, and correct me if the numbers are wrong, but I think it was 250 is what I ended up paying for this building. Now, it was appraised originally at about 550.
Okay.
I got a $300,000 spread in there
Mhm.
to make money. And we upgraded the electric. That was about 60,000. And then pretty much we had to get it dried out, which the last landlord had taken care of. So we had another 50,000 in renovation. So all in, I was about 110,000 in renovation. So total cost was about, I think, 360. We got it reappraised at 750,000. Wow. That's how
Yeah.
the money is
Yeah.
made in real estate. Now, this appraisal was several years ago. This building, I'm pretty sure we've got to the 900, almost $1 million mark on just that one building.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So your renovations went great, right?
Yeah, the renovations on that one actually it went good. And the thing about commercial real estate, which you asked me this, why single versus multifamily? The thing about commercial real estate is based off our NOI, net operating income. So if we're able to raise rents or bring more value to the building or cut expenses, it actually increases the value. So
Yeah.
that was one of the things we were able to do on that building.
Yeah. So you mentioned forced values, forced appreciation. That's where the renovations come in play, guys, is the forced appreciation. You're automatically going to have your organic increase, your organic appreciation. I think the national standard right now is 2 to 3%. But with that, you have that forced appreciation. When you put in the new flooring, when you put in the new countertops, that brings greater value. So yeah, that's awesome. One thing that you also mentioned is you replaced electric. Now, not a lot of new beginners in real estate understand why you would need to replace electric. Can you go into a little bit why you would need to replace the electric? I teach my students this on a regular basis. Make sure it's this and this. And they're like, well,
Mhm.
why do you need that? So if you can tell us a little bit about the electric that was in that building and why did you have to replace that?
So one, I wouldn't have known better, but the code enforcement told me that, hey, the electrical has to be brought up to code. So that meant once, and this different by county, state by state, but for our county and state, once the walls are exposed, you have to bring it up to code. So at that point, it became, look, it's done. Like you have to do it. So
Absolutely.
whatever is here, you got to rip out. You got old electric, old panels, and at that point, it became, you know what? Let me just get this done. This is an asset that I want to hold for the next 20, 30, 40 years. Let me get this done now and not have to worry about it again in the future.
Okay, so the electric being up to code, was it aluminum?
It was we had some old cloth wire and some of the other
Okay.
was knob and tube, right? And
Wow.
so yeah, knowing what we know now, knob and tube is prone to start fires.
Yeah.
Most insurance companies won't insure. We had old fuse boxes, which most insurance companies and they might not insure you, or you're gonna have higher rates,
Yeah,
right, for
sure.
fuse boxes. Plus, you have the expense of changing out a fuse. So
Yeah.
it just made more sense.
What's the age of the building?
I think it's like 1900. So it's an older building.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an older
Yeah, one
building.
of them's historic buildings, but electricity is up to par.
Yes, throughout the
Awesome.
whole building, or a whole building has all new electric.
I love it. I love it. Now, did you say that was a mixed use? It was a mixed use, or
Yes.
is
So
it
it's a
still
mixed use.
it's
Yeah,
still
and yeah, and it still operates it. I still own the bar to this day. That's at the bottom floor.
love it.
Um, yeah, I own the bar, and then we have a commercial tenant as a restaurant space, and then there's 6 apartments above. And the thing I love about mixed use too is that you actually affect the community, right?
Yeah.
That's what I love about commercial real estate. You actually have a play on the community. You can establish and set the tone for what you want to see in the future in your community.
I love that. I love that. And that's part of my heart as well is bettering the community. If we're able to buy even some of these D class properties, I look at some of them, and if I'm able to make it work, I'll try to make it work just to better the community. I have a property right now that we're dealing with, and we didn't know it was D whenever we bought it, but it's more like a C plus now. Yes.
Can I say something about that too? Because
Absolutely.
these properties get a bad rep, and I got
They
to share this.
do.
But one, ladies and gentlemen, D's and C's cash flow.
Come
Right?
on. Come
They
on.
cash flow you might not get the appreciation right now, but eventually you could also get appreciation too. People need places to live.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And eventually it takes somebody, some entrepreneur, the chance or take an opportunity to say, I'm going to improve this. And if you improve one, somebody might improve the next one, and then somebody might improve the next one. And guess what? The appreciation comes that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's good. That's really good. So one of your most recent reels that you put on was talking about the Section 8. And a lot of D and lower class C properties are on Section 8. Not everybody follows you that listens to this podcast. So just tell them why you're okay with Section 8.
All right. So I'll start. If you don't know, my story is I was homeless, right? I was homeless twice in my life. Nothing, no drug, no crazy story. We were just unfortunate, had unfortunate times. So my family, when we struggled, we had Section 8. And I recall the living standards, and it was subpar living standards. It was some of the worst living standards I thought there were. I didn't know what central air was until I moved, right?
Wow.
I didn't know that you could control the temperature in your house. The amenities that we have nowadays, and some of the listeners, a lot of us take it for granted,
Yeah, we do.
right? So when I told myself if I ever got money, I would make sure that I give back and try to give people quality housing. And I'll share the story too. When I was homeless, we went to a shelter. Somebody got paid to house people in that place, right? And I still remember like there were rats crawling in the walls. You could hear the rats scratching. You could see the roaches. And my family, we were a very clean family. And I remember I saw my mom crying and she didn't want to be in this position. And I know my dad he was sad, but he was doing all he could. And I always thought like nobody deserves to be in this position, right? And Section 8 is pretty much to help people get to that next level,
Yes.
right? And so my goal is if I can provide quality housing to these people, I'm helping them get to another level. Housing and mental health go hand in hand. Nobody will talk about it, but housing and mental health go
Yes.
hand in hand. So if I can help
100%.
you and your family have a quality house, and I have cameras, I have ring cameras in our hallways, and I watch sometimes, and the neighbors have become friends with the other neighbors,
I love it.
right? So we're building a community piece by piece, brick
Love
by brick. And so this is my action. This is my call to action.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I appreciate you sharing part of your journey as well. Bless you and your family. I am so happy to see where you are today. And it's awesome. It's an awesome journey, an awesome story. And guys, if you don't follow Ray, you need to go find him on Instagram, find him on TikTok, and follow him because he does share his journey along with his real estate journey as well. So okay, so over the multifamily journey that you've had, what has been your biggest challenge overall?
Today's environment, today's climate, we're dealing with higher interest rates.
Yes. Yeah.
We've made the best of it. And I'll say, like, I've been able to navigate. Continued education is very important. Listening to podcasts like this,
Yeah.
networking with other people is going to give you that upper hand,
Yeah.
right? But today's environment, between COVID, and this is one thing about Section 8 too, you get guaranteed income, right? You're going to get that rent. Most investors, if they miss a month or two, they're in trouble,
Yep.
right? But with Section 8, you're going to get that guaranteed income. And Section 8 usually pays above market price, ladies and gentlemen. All right. I just need people
There
to
you
know
go.
that too. So that's another
Drop that
bonus.
nugget. Yep.
But in today's market, we have higher interest rates. I'm still buying in today's market, though. I just closed a couple months ago, a couple months ago. I had a 9.5% interest rate on a commercial deal. And dealing with commercial, we're going to have higher interest rates. 9.5 was high, but we made the deal happen. And I'm very happy that we made it happen. I'll refinance in the next 3 to 4 years. It cash flows at today's rates.
If it cash flows at today's rates, you're gonna bank in a couple of years.
That is the game, right? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
what these interest rates did too is it flushed out a lot of people who weren't serious about real estate,
That's true.
right?
That's
It
true.
flushed out. I usually don't buy single family, but if the opportunity arises, I'll buy it. Multifamily though, on another game plan though. It flushed out so many people who were trying to buy for just appreciation,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And we listen to a lot of people that talk about, yeah, we got to buy in this market because it's appreciating. But what happens when it doesn't appreciate?
Yeah.
Are you still going to be okay? What if you're buying to break even?
Yeah.
Right? I talk to a lot of people. Okay, if I can just break even, there's no such thing as breaking even in real estate because when that HVAC breaks, you're paying for it.
That's right. And then there goes the red instead of the break even part. Yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, Ray, couple of things I want to ask was, first of all, what's next for you? What's on your agenda next?
I've attained so much in life. At this point, my goal is one, I'm paying down all the mortgages I have, try to get rid of a lot of the debt that we have, restructure debt. I'm also working on a big project. It's actually a grant funded project. I believe it's like 1.5 million. And we're going to be building homes for low income veterans, people with disabilities. So at this point, this is my give back period.
Yes. Yes, I love that. I love that, guys. If you're interested in helping Ray house veterans, you need to contact him. Get him on Messenger. Get him somewhere.
I'll
Find
respond. It's really me. I promise I'll
Yeah,
respond to you. Send me
yeah,
a message.
that's awesome. And I'm not a veteran, but my family is full of veterans. Thank you very much for doing that because it is difficult for our veterans to find housing. It just is, and it shouldn't be. It just shouldn't be. They fought
Yeah.
for our country. It shouldn't be that difficult. Okay, so what inspires you most?
My past is what fuels me. Failure. Failure is my biggest fuel, and my family is what motivates me.
I love that. I love that.
So I get to spend time with my children. We make breakfast for them every day, pick them up from school every day. I allot time to make sure I spend with them every day, and that is my motivation.
And that word on your shirt right there gives you that.
Freedom. Yeah.
Yeah, it gives you that freedom to be able to do that. And that's
Mhm.
awesome. I love that as well. Okay, so a couple of questions. The first question is, besides this podcast, what other podcasts would you recommend? I like to lift up other
Sure.
podcasts and promote them a little bit. What other
Mhm.
podcasts would you recommend somebody listen to?
So one of my mentors, his name's Ken McElroy. I don't know if you folks are familiar
I
with Ken.
do.
Right? He's one of my mentors, and I've actually had the opportunity to be on their show as well. And that is a great podcast. If you want to hear about what's going on in today's market, stay up to date. They're a great podcast. All right.
Yeah, that one's really good. They do their research before they come on that too. So that's really great. Okay. And what book would you recommend somebody read if they want to, whether it's a personal level up or if it's multifamily, single family, what would you recommend a book?
So everybody says I feel like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I feel like that's
Everybody
just like
says.
that's just started. It's a great book. It is a great starting book. There are two books that actually motivate me though, and I'll give you that.
Sure.
One is Grant Cardone, The 10X Rule. Right? Hate him or love him, the guy's a great salesman. And that book, for some reason, it wakes me up to, you know what, you could be better. You can do better than what you are today. And that was one book that motivates me. And then Think and Grow Rich is a great book. If you folks haven't read it, Think and Grow Rich is another good book.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. Grant Cardone, just what you said, hate him or love him, it doesn't matter. He's a great motivator. He's a great speaker and he'll light a fire under you
Mhm.
for sure. Do you have any deals coming up besides the veteran housing? Do you have any deals coming up?
Oh, so right now we're trying to do a flip a month is the goal. We're trying
Woo-hoo!
to do one flip a month minimum and then try to buy and hold. So right now we're analyzing 3. I actually have a meeting. We're going to analyze 3 more and see which one we
Awesome.
want to take.
Awesome. Well, Ray, it has been a great pleasure to have you on our podcast today. And man, thank you for the nuggets you dropped. Listeners, I would listen to it again because he dropped some good nuggets, especially for you guys that are starting out, beginning. And you know what? There are several things that he said that you can avoid. So go back and listen to it again. He's a great guy. And don't forget to follow him. Exactly. I forgot. I almost forgot. How do people get in touch with you besides social media? Is there another way that people can get in touch with you?
Honestly, Instagram is the best course to get a hold of me. I answer all my messages. I'm on TikTok, but I'm not really on it. Send me a message. If you send me a message on any platform, I'll respond.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. And he's on LinkedIn, by the way, guys. Grab him on LinkedIn as well. All right. Well, thank you, Ray, for being here. Much appreciated. And guys, we'll see you again. Thanks for listening. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Multifamily Missteps. Your dedication to our podcast is truly appreciated. Please help us spread the word and make our community even stronger. The valuable lessons that our guests bring each episode will help you and others avoid these missteps along your journey. Hit the subscribe button, take a screenshot of the episode you just listened to, post it on your social media, and tag myself and my friend Jerome Myers. You never know, you might find yourself our next featured guest. I cannot wait to continue this journey with you. Until next week, stay tuned and stay inspired.